Commander Ji-won Kim stood on the observation deck of the orbital station above Kepler 442b, watching the sunrise paint the colony world in golden light. Below her, the city of New Seoul sprawled across green valleys, home to 3 million humans who had traveled 27 light-years to build a new life among the stars. Ji-won had been protecting these colonies for 8 years now. She knew every family, every street, every defense grid. This was her home, just like the 16 other human worlds scattered across this corner of the galaxy. Her communicator buzzed. "Commander, we have an urgent message from Ambassador Park on the Galactic Council Station," said Lieutenant Do-Yun Choi, her communications officer. The hologram of Ambassador Hyunwoo Park appeared in front of her. His face was pale and worried. "Ji-won, we have a serious problem. I need you to put all colonial defenses on high alert immediately." "What's happening?" Ji-won asked. "I intercepted some council communications. They've classified humanity as a Category 7 expansion threat. The Velkari Elder Thessamora convinced them that we're growing too fast, becoming too powerful." Ji-won felt ice in her stomach. Category 7 was the highest threat level in the galaxy. It meant complete elimination. "Are you sure?" "I'm sending you the data now. They're planning something big, Ji-won. Something that will hit all our colonies at once." The hologram flickered and died. Ji-won stared at the empty air where Park's image had been. The Galactic Council had always been suspicious of humanity. Humans spread faster than other species, adapted quicker, built stronger colonies. But they had always followed galactic law. On the far edge of human space, Dr. Minju Lee was having her own disturbing discoveries. The archaeologist knelt in the ancient ruins on New Busan, brushing dirt from a stone tablet covered in symbols. Her team had been working this site for months, trying to understand the civilization that had lived here 50,000 years ago. "Dr. Lee, you need to see this," called her assistant, holding up a crystal device that was glowing with soft blue light. The crystal was a warning beacon, its message finally decoded after weeks of work. The words made Minju's hands shake as she read them. "Warning to all who find this message: never wake the sleeping giants. Never anger those from the third world of the Yellow Star." We ignored this rule. We paid the price. Our cities burn. Our fleets are scattered dust. The Star Shepherds showed us mercy once. They will not do so again. Remember this warning. Pass it to your children. Never provoke the humans. Minju read the message 3 times. Humans were mentioned by name in a warning from 50,000 years ago, but humans had only reached the stars 300 years ago. How was this possible? She activated her emergency communicator. "This is Dr. Lee on New Busan. I need to speak with Earth Command immediately. We've found something that changes everything." But her message would never reach Earth. At that moment, across 17 star systems, the largest military force in galactic history was moving into position. 800 warships from 12 different species, all under Velkari command. Elder Thessamora had convinced them that humanity was a cancer that would consume the galaxy, if not stopped now. The attack began at exactly the same moment across all human worlds. On Kepler 442b, Ji-won watched in horror as massive enemy ships appeared in the sky. Her defense fleet was brave but small. 30 human ships against 200 alien vessels. "All civilians to emergency shelters," she ordered. "All defense ships engage the enemy." Captain Do-Yun Choi commanded the heavy cruiser Seoul's Pride, the most powerful ship in the human fleet. He watched his sensors as enemy ships surrounded them completely. "Captain, they have us outnumbered 8-1, reported his weapons officer. "Then we make every shot count," Do-Yun replied. The battle was quick and brutal. Human ships fought with desperate courage, but they were simply overwhelmed. One by one, the defense ships died in brilliant explosions. Cities on the planet below began to burn as orbital bombardment started. Ji-won's station shook as enemy weapons hit it. Through the observation windows, she could see Seoul's Pride fighting 3 enemy ships at once, its hull glowing red from weapon impacts. "Commander, we need to evacuate," her aide said. "Not yet. There are still civilians getting to the shelters." Below them, New Seoul was dying. 3 million people, families and children and elderly grandparents, all running for shelter that would not save them from orbital bombardment. The same scene played out on every human world. New Tokyo fell in 2 hours. The mining colonies lasted only minutes. Agricultural worlds with no defenses at all were destroyed from orbit without warning. On New Busan, Dr. Lee's team watched alien ships fill the sky. She clutched the warning beacon in her hands, finally understanding what it meant. "Get to the emergency transmitter," she told her assistant. "I need to send a message to anyone who can hear it." The transmission went out just as the first bombs fell on New Busan. "This is Dr. Minju Lee on New Busan. If anyone receives this, know that we found warnings about humanity in ruins 50,000 years old. The aliens think they've won by destroying our colonies, but they don't understand. The warnings weren't about what we might become. They were about what we've always been. The sleepers are waking up." The transmission cut off as Dr. Lee's archaeological site vanished in nuclear fire. In space above Kepler 442b, Captain Choi's soul's pride was the last human ship still fighting. Half his crew was dead, his engines failing, but he kept firing. "Captain, we can't win this," his first officer said. "We're not trying to win," Do-hyun replied. "We're buying time for the evacuation ships." Through the chaos, 3 small transport ships managed to escape Kepler 442b, carrying 12,000 survivors. It was all that remained of 3 million people. Commander Ji-won Kim was on one of those ships, watching her world burn behind them. Every human colony was sending out similar desperate transmissions. Some worlds had no survivors at all. The numbers were horrifying. 43 million humans had lived on the 17 colony worlds. Less than 200,000 escaped. But something strange was happening to the survivors. As they watched their homes die, something was changing inside them. Ancient genetic codes that had been sleeping for 50,000 years were starting to wake up. On the transport ship carrying survivors from New Seoul, a young engineer named Tae-hyun Song felt it first. His mind suddenly felt clearer, faster. He could see patterns in the ship's systems that he had never noticed before. A soldier named Yoona Shin found that her reflexes had become impossibly quick. She could dodge attacks that should have been too fast to see. All across the scattered refugee ships, survivors were changing. Growing stronger, smarter, faster. Their DNA was rewriting itself, unlocking genetic potential that had been locked away since before recorded history. The galaxy had broken the oldest rule. They had made humanity angry. And something that had been sleeping for 50,000 years was finally waking up. The surviving humans didn't know it yet, but they were about to remember who they really were. The galaxy was about to learn why ancient civilizations had left warnings about never provoking the species from the third planet of Sol. The war was just beginning, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of when pushed too far. In the darkness between stars, automated systems that had been waiting for millennia began to activate. Ancient weapons stirred to life. Hidden fleets started powering up their engines. The humans were coming home. The asteroid mining station called Haven had never been meant to hold refugees. It was a small facility in the empty space between star systems, designed for maybe 50 workers. Now it sheltered nearly 200,000 survivors from the destroyed human colonies. Commander Ji-won Kim walked through the crowded corridors, seeing families camped in storage rooms and children sleeping in maintenance tunnels. These people had lost everything, but they were alive. That had to be enough for now. Captain Do-hyun Choi found her in the command center, studying star charts. "We have a problem," he said. "Food supplies will last maybe 3 months. And these people need real medical care, not what we can provide here." "I know," Ji-won replied. She looked tired, older than her 35 years. "But we can't go to any of the galactic worlds. They'll just hand us over to the council." "Then what do we do?" Before Ji-won could answer, an old man entered the command center. Admiral Sun Ho-yoon had been retired for 10 years, living quietly on New Seoul, but when the attacks came, he had somehow ended up on one of the last evacuation ships. "We fight back," Admiral Yoon said simply. Ji-won shook her head. "With what?" "We have maybe 30 ships left, most of them damaged. The council has thousands. We fight back with what we really are," Yoon said. He activated a holographic display that showed DNA sequences. "Have you looked at the medical reports from the survivors?" "Really looked at them?" Ji-won studied the display. The genetic patterns were unlike anything she had seen before. "What am I looking at?" "Evolution," said a new voice. Specialist Yoona Shin entered the room, moving with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. "Something's happening to all of us." Yoona had been a good soldier before the attacks. Now she was something else entirely. Her reflexes were faster than human normal. Her mind processed information at incredible speed. And she wasn't the only one changing. "Show them," Admiral Yoon said. Yuna drew her sidearm and tossed it into the air. As it spun, she drew a second weapon and fired 6 shots. Each shot hit the first gun at a different point in its rotation, keeping it spinning in the air. Finally, she holstered the second weapon and caught the first gun perfectly. "That should be impossible," Captain Choi said. "A week ago it was," Yuna replied. "But something's unlocking inside us." All of us, Admiral Yoon activated another display. "I've been going through the archived data that Dr. Lee transmitted before she died. The warning she found wasn't the only thing in those ruins. The display showed star charts that were 50,000 years old. They showed human colonies spread across the galaxy, millions of worlds under human control." "This is impossible," Jiwon said. "Humans have only been in space for 300 years. "These humans have," Yoon replied. "But we're not the first." Engineer Taehyun Song had been working in the station's computer core, trying to improve their systems with limited resources. But as he worked, he found himself understanding technology that should have been beyond human knowledge. He looked at the ancient star charts and felt something click in his mind. Suddenly he could see how the technology worked, not just understand it, but see it as clearly as if he had built it himself. "Admiral," Taehyun said, his voice shaking, "I think I know how to read these archives." For the next several hours, they unlocked file after file of ancient human history. The story that emerged was impossible to believe, except that the evidence was right there in their changing genetics. 50,000 years ago, humanity had ruled the galaxy. Not as conquerors, but as guardians. They had been called the Star Shepherds, protecting younger species and keeping the peace between worlds. But humanity's power had grown too great. They could manipulate matter at the atomic level, control the forces of stars themselves, read thoughts across interstellar distances. They had become like gods, and gods were not meant to live among mortals, so the ancient humans had made a choice. They created genetic locks in their own DNA, artificial limits that would keep their descendants from reaching their full potential. Then they had gone into what they called the long sleep, hibernating in hidden facilities while their locked descendants forgot their true heritage. The genetic locks were designed to open only under one condition. If humanity faced complete extinction, the locks would break and humans would remember what they truly were. The genocide of the colonies had been that trigger. "This explains the changes we're seeing," Specialist Shin said. "We're not evolving. We're remembering." Admiral Yoon nodded. "And if this data is accurate, we're just at the beginning. The full awakening will take months." Engineer Song was studying schematics that his unlocking mind could suddenly understand. "Admiral, according to these files, there are facilities hidden throughout human space. Weapons, ships, technology that makes current galactic civilization look primitive." "Where?" Jiwon asked. Song highlighted locations on the star map. "Everywhere. Mars isn't just a mining colony. It's a fortress. The asteroid belt around Jupiter contains a shipyard bigger than any planet. And there are things hidden in Earth's moon that—" He paused, staring at the data. "That could destroy star systems." The room fell silent. These people had just learned that they weren't just refugees from destroyed colonies. They were the descendants of the most powerful civilization in galactic history, and their true heritage was awakening. "We need to test this," Yoon said. "If even half of this is true, then we need to start accessing these hidden facilities." Captain Choi volunteered to lead a small expedition to the nearest location, an automated mining station in the asteroid belt of their current system. According to the ancient files, it was more than it appeared to be. When Choi's ship approached the mining station, something remarkable happened. Systems that had been dormant for 50,000 years suddenly came online. The small mining station unfolded like a flower, revealing a massive military facility hidden inside the asteroid. Automated systems scanned Choi's ship, reading the changing DNA of the humans aboard. Ancient computers recognized them as legitimate heirs to the Star Shepherd legacy. "Captain," his communications officer said, voice full of wonder, "the station is downloading something into our computers. Technical specifications, weapon design, star charts. There's more information here than in all of Earth's libraries." When Choi returned to Haven Station, he brought with him proof that the ancient files were real. The hidden facilities were everywhere, waiting for humanity to reclaim them. But they also brought something else, the first new weapon humanity had possessed since the colonies fell. Admiral Yoon studied the sleek device that looked like nothing more than a metal rod. According to the ancient files, it was a gravity manipulator, capable of turning a small asteroid into a weapon that could destroy fleets. "We're going to test this," Yoon announced. "The Velkari have a supply depot in the Rigel system. It's lightly defended, maybe 20 ships. If this technology works the way the files say it does, the attack on the Rigel depot became humanity's first victory in their new war. 20 Velkari ships against 3 human vessels that should have been hopelessly outmatched. Instead, the Velkari ships found themselves fighting opponents who seemed to know their every move before they made it. Human weapons that bent the laws of physics. Human pilots whose reflexes were impossibly fast. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it was over, all 20 Velkari ships had been destroyed without suffering a single human casualty. News of the victory spread quickly through the hidden refugee communities scattered across human space. Other survivor groups began finding and activating the ancient facilities. The sleeping giants were waking up, but the galaxy was also taking notice. The Galactic Council had expected the human problem to be solved. Instead, they were receiving reports of impossible human victories, of technology that shouldn't exist, of ancient weapons awakening after 50,000 years of sleep. Elder Thessamora studied the reports in growing alarm. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were fighting back with capabilities that made no sense. "Send more ships to the human territories," the Elder commanded. "Whatever they've found, we must destroy it before they become truly dangerous." But in the hidden facilities throughout human space, ancient production lines were starting up. Shipyards that had been waiting for millennia began building vessels that incorporated 50,000 years of advanced technology. The humans were no longer refugees hiding in an asteroid station. They were becoming something the galaxy hadn't seen since the Age of Legends. They were becoming themselves again. The news of humanity's victory at Rigel Depot reached the Galactic Council like a slap in the face. Elder Thessamora stared at the battle reports, trying to understand how 20 Velkari warships had been destroyed by 3 small human vessels. "This is impossible," declared Council Member Zeth Kar of the Nexith Confederation. "Our intelligence said the humans had no advanced technology." "Our intelligence was wrong," Thessamora replied grimly. "Send word to all member species. We need a fleet large enough to glass every planet in human space. 3,000 ships should be sufficient." Across the galaxy, the largest military force in recorded history began assembling. Every major species contributed ships, weapons, soldiers. The humans had proven more dangerous than expected, but they were still vastly outnumbered. Meanwhile, in the solar system, General Yunji Kang was discovering that humanity's home wasn't what anyone had thought it was. She stood in a command center deep beneath the surface of Mars, watching ancient displays come online for the first time in 50,000 years. The Red Planet wasn't just a mining colony. It was the largest fortress ever built. "General, you need to see this," called Dr. Wu Jin Lim, the physicist who had been studying the awakening technology. "The entire planet is artificial." The mining operations were just a cover story. The displays showed Mars as it truly was, a massive weapons platform disguised as a planet. Beneath the surface lay weapons that could reach across star systems, defensive systems that could stop entire fleets, and manufacturing facilities that could build ships faster than any shipyard in the galaxy. "How did we not know about this?" Kang asked. "Because we weren't ready to know," Dr. Lim replied. "The ancient humans built this with genetic locks just like the ones in our DNA. Only awakened humans can see what it really is." Similar discoveries were happening throughout the solar system. Jupiter's asteroid belt contained a shipyard that could build vessels the size of moons. Saturn's rings hid manufacturing facilities that had been dormant for millennia. Even Earth's moon was hollow, containing technology that the ancient files described as stellar manipulation devices. Intelligence Chief Hyun Cho had been working to intercept Galactic Council communications, and what she found changed everything. "Admiral Yoon," she reported via encrypted transmission, "I've broken their communication codes. The Council isn't just planning to destroy human space. They're planning to sterilize it completely. Every planet, every asteroid, everything." "How long do we have?" Yoon asked. 3 months before their fleet reaches Earth. But 3 months was more time than humanity needed. The awakening was accelerating, and the ancient production facilities were running at full capacity. Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo Nam had been a cargo ship captain before the colonies fell. Now he stood on the bridge of a vessel that shouldn't have been possible. The ship was 3 kilometers long, built from materials that seemed to bend light around them, powered by engines that drew energy directly from the fabric of space itself. "Admiral, the automated shipyards report another 50 vessels completed today," his aide reported. "That brings our total fleet to 800 ships. 800 ships that were each more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen." But that wasn't the most remarkable thing about humanity's new fleet. The most remarkable thing was how quickly the human crews had adapted to technology that was thousands of years beyond anything they had known. Engineer Song could operate star-spanning communication systems as easily as breathing. Specialist Shin could coordinate fleet movements across multiple star systems simultaneously. The genetic awakening wasn't just making humans stronger and faster, it was making them remember skills they had never learned, knowledge that had been locked away in their DNA for 50,000 years. Dr. Lim made another discovery that shook everyone to their core. While studying the ancient archives, he found records of previous awakenings. "This isn't the first time," he announced to the assembled commanders. "The humans have gone through cycles of awakening and sleeping for millions of years. Every time the galaxy faces a major threat, humanity wakes up, solves the problem, then goes back to sleep." "What kind of threats?" Admiral Yoon asked. "Species that tried to destroy all life in the galaxy. Artificial intelligences that went rogue. Once, something called the Void Devourers that tried to consume entire star systems." Dr. Lim paused. "Each time awakened humanity stopped them. Then they voluntarily went back to sleep to give other species a chance to develop." General Kang understood the implications immediately. "We're not just the descendants of an ancient civilization. We're the galaxy's immune system." The Galactic Council's massive fleet finally reached the edge of human space, expecting to find a broken, scattered resistance. Instead, they found something that challenged everything they thought they knew about warfare. The first engagement happened near Proxima Centauri, where a Council scouting force of 100 ships encountered what appeared to be a single human vessel. The human ship didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, it did something that the Council forces couldn't understand or defend against. It reached out with invisible forces and simply turned off the enemy ships. Engines stopped. Weapons powered down. Life support systems failed. Within minutes, 100 enemy ships were floating dead in space, their crews unharmed but completely helpless. "This is Admiral Nam to Council forces," came the transmission. "You have entered human space with hostile intent. You have one opportunity to leave peacefully. If you do not take it, we will demonstrate why the ancient warnings told your ancestors to never anger humanity." The Council commander, a proud Velkari named Thossavel, refused to retreat. "You are criminals and murderers. We will not be intimidated by ancient tricks. Then you will serve as an example," Admiral Nam replied. What happened next would be talked about in hushed voices across the galaxy for generations to come. The single human ship began to glow with energy that seemed to come from the stars themselves. Space around it bent and twisted, and then, with a flash of light that could be seen from the next star system, 100 enemy ships simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not exploded. They were there one moment and gone the next, leaving only empty space. The demonstration had its intended effect. Word spread quickly through the Council fleet that the humans possessed weapons that could erase ships from existence. Morale began to collapse as species that had joined the fleet for easy victory found themselves facing an enemy that seemed godlike. But Admiral Nam wasn't done. Using the ancient star charts, human forces began appearing in Council territory, striking military installations with precision that seemed impossible. A shipyard orbiting the Velkari homeworld simply vanished one day, along with the 300 ships under construction there. A major military base in Nexith space found all its weapons turned into harmless metal sculptures overnight. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were demonstrating complete dominance over their enemies without causing unnecessary casualties. Enemy soldiers would wake up to find their bases captured, their weapons disabled, their fleets scattered, but themselves unharmed. Intelligence Chief Cho's infiltration efforts revealed why this was happening. The genetic locks hadn't just limited human potential. They had also installed safeguards against unnecessary violence. Even awakened, humans found it almost impossible to kill when other options existed. "We could have destroyed their entire fleet at Proxima," Admiral Nam explained to his staff. But that would have been genocide, exactly what they tried to do to us. Instead, we're teaching them that resistance is futile. The lesson was working. Species began withdrawing from the Council fleet, unwilling to face an enemy that could erase them from existence at will. The massive invasion force that had numbered 3,000 ships was rapidly shrinking as member species reconsidered their position. But the most shocking discovery came when Dr. Joan, a xenobiologist studying captured Council soldiers, found something unexpected in their genetic codes. "Admiral, you need to see this," she reported to Yoon. "These alien species, they're not naturally evolved." "What do you mean?" "I mean someone designed them, modified their genetics, guided their development, even programmed certain behavioral patterns." Dr. Jeon paused, "And the genetic markers indicate who did it." The revelation that hit the human leadership was staggering. The ancient species that made up the Galactic Council weren't ancient at all. They were the descendants of primitive species that had been uplifted and guided by humanity 50,000 years ago. The current galactic civilization existed only because ancient humans had created it, nurtured it, and then stepped back to let it develop. The Velkari, who claimed to be the galaxy's eldest race, were actually the descendants of simple hunter-gatherers that humanity had given the gift of intelligence. The Nexith, who prided themselves on their advanced technology, were using machines based on principles that humans had taught their ancestors. The entire galaxy had been humanity's garden, carefully tended for 50,000 years, and now the garden was trying to destroy its gardeners. The revelation that the galaxy's ancient races were actually humanity's uplifted children changed everything. Admiral Yoon stood in the command center on Mars, watching reports come in from across human space. The genetic awakening was complete now, and humanity was ready to reclaim their birthright. "Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different species," reported Communications Officer Minho Ryu. "They want to withdraw from the Council fleet immediately." "Accept their surrenders," Yoon replied. "But make it clear that neutrality is not enough. They must actively work to prevent future genocides, or they will be treated as enemies." The solar system had become the staging ground for the largest military operation in galactic history. But unlike the Council's invasion fleet, humanity's forces weren't coming to destroy. They were coming to teach a lesson that would echo through the ages. Fleet Admiral Nam's ancient fleet had grown to over 2,000 vessels, each one incorporating technology that seemed like magic to the rest of the galaxy. Ships that could travel between stars in minutes instead of days, weapons that could reshape matter at the molecular level, defensive systems that made ships effectively immune to conventional attack. But the most terrifying thing about the ancient fleet wasn't its technology. It was its restraint. "Admiral," reported Captain Choi from the bridge of the renewed Soul's Pride, "we're approaching the Velkari homeworld. Their entire defense fleet is waiting for us." The Velkari had assembled every ship they could find to defend their home system. Over 800 vessels, including their massive fortress ships that had conquered dozens of worlds. It was the largest single military force the Velkari had ever assembled. Against it, Admiral Nam brought just 50 human ships. "Open communications," Nam ordered. Elder Thessamora's image appeared on the main screen, her reptilian features twisted with anger and fear. "You will not take our homeworld, human. We will fight to the last ship." "Elder Thessamora," Nam replied calmly, "you have a choice. Surrender now and your people will be unharmed. Your government will be reformed. But your civilization will continue. Refuse and we will demonstrate why your ancestors left warnings about angering humanity. We do not surrender to inferior species. Then you leave us no choice." What happened next became known as the Miracle of Velkari Prime. The human fleet didn't attack the 800 defending ships. Instead, they did something that redefined what warfare could be. General Kang led the ground assault, but she didn't use soldiers or weapons in any conventional sense. Her forces teleported directly onto the planet's surface using technology that bypassed all defenses. But instead of attacking military targets, they began helping. Human soldiers appeared in hospitals, using advanced medical technology to heal the sick. They materialized in schools, teaching children about the wonders of the universe. They showed up at farms, sharing techniques that could feed millions. Within hours, the civilian population of Velkari Prime was seeing humans not as conquerors, but as benefactors. Meanwhile, in space, Admiral Nam demonstrated humanity's true power. His 50 ships didn't fight the 800 Velkari vessels. They reached out with invisible forces and simply shut them down. Every weapon, every engine, every system on every enemy ship stopped working simultaneously. But the humans didn't destroy the defenseless ships. Instead, they boarded them. Specialist Shin led one of the boarding parties onto a Velkari fortress ship. The alien crew expected death or torture. Instead, they found humans who spoke their language perfectly, who understood their culture, who treated them with respect and kindness. "Your ship is now under human control," Shin announced to the Velkari captain. "But you and your crew are free to leave. Take shuttles to the planet below. Tell your people what you have seen here." The same scene played out across the entire Velkari fleet. 800 ships captured without a single casualty on either side. The crew sent home safely, carrying stories of human mercy and overwhelming power. "How is this possible?" the Velkari captain asked before leaving his ship. "Because 50,000 years ago we helped your ancestors become what they are today," Shin replied. "We remember you as children learning to walk among the stars. We will not punish children for their mistakes, only teach them to do better." The fall of the Velkari homeworld took exactly 6 hours, not through violence, but through a demonstration of power so complete that resistance became meaningless. Dr. Sora Jaeon's research had revealed another crucial fact about the galaxy species. The genetic modifications that ancient humans had made weren't just about intelligence and technology. They had also installed safeguards against excessive aggression and genocide. But those safeguards had been failing. Close exposure to awakened humans was causing them to reactivate, but for 50,000 years they had been slowly degrading. That was why the modern galaxy had become more violent, more willing to commit atrocities like the destruction of human colonies. "We can fix this," Dr. John reported to the command staff. "The genetic repairs are actually simple for us to perform. We can restore the safeguards that will prevent future genocides." "But should we?" asked Dr. Lim. "That's essentially controlling other species' genetics without their consent." It was Admiral Yoon who provided the answer. "We asked them. Every species gets to choose. Those who want the safeguards restored can have them. Those who prefer to remain as they are can make that choice as well." Diplomatic Corps leader Ryu began reaching out to species across the galaxy, offering them a choice that no civilization had ever been given before. They could remain unchanged, or they could accept genetic modifications that would make them less aggressive, more cooperative, better able to resolve conflicts peacefully. The response was overwhelming. Species that had been fighting each other for centuries suddenly saw a path to lasting peace. Even many who had supported the Council's war against humanity began requesting the genetic modifications. But not everyone was ready to accept humanity's new role in the galaxy. The Nexith Confederation, led by War Commander Kessethan, assembled a massive fleet in the Galactic Core, determined to make a final stand against human expansion. "We will not bow to these upstart humans," Keston declared to his assembled forces. "We are the inheritors of the galaxy's greatest technology. We will show them that some species cannot be intimidated." The Nexith had built the largest single ship in galactic history for this battle. The Infinity's Edge was a mobile fortress the size of a small moon, armed with weapons that could crack planets and shielded by energy fields that had never been penetrated. Against this ultimate weapon, humanity sent a single ship, Admiral Nam's flagship. The Eternal Dawn was beautiful rather than threatening. It looked more like a work of art than a warship, its hull seeming to be made of crystallized starlight. The two fleets met in the empty space between galaxies, where their battle would not endanger any inhabited worlds. "Human vessel," War Commander Keston transmitted, "you face the might of the Nexith Confederation. Surrender now and we will grant you a quick death." "War Commander," Admiral Nam replied, "you face the awakened children of the Star Shepherds. Surrender now and we will grant you wisdom." The battle that followed lasted exactly 17 seconds. The Infinity's Edge fired every weapon it possessed at the Eternal Dawn. Planet-killing beams, reality-warping torpedoes, gravity bombs that could collapse stars. The combined firepower was enough to sterilize entire solar systems. None of it reached the human ship. The Eternal Dawn didn't use shields or armor. Instead, it simply existed in a space where the enemy weapons could not affect it. The attacks passed through empty space where the ship appeared to be. while the ship itself remained untouched. Then Admiral Nam demonstrated what 50,000 years of advancement could accomplish. The eternal dawn reached, out with forces that the Nexith couldn't understand, and gently took control of the Infinity's edge. The massive fortress ship's weapons stopped firing. Its engines shut down. Its shields collapsed, but the ship itself was unharmed, and its crew was safely transported to nearby planets before they could even realize what had happened. War Commander Kesthan, Admiral Nam said, "Your ship now belongs to us, but you and your people are free. Return to your homeworld. Tell them what you have learned." The War Commander, standing alone on the bridge of his captured superweapon, finally understood what his species was facing. "What are you?" "We are your creators," Nam replied gently, "and we are disappointed in what you have chosen to become. But we still love you, and we still hope you can be better." With the fall of the Nexith superfortress, organized resistance to humanity essentially ended. The Galactic Council dissolved, as member species either surrendered or simply withdrew from galactic politics entirely. But the humans weren't done. Dr. John had discovered something troubling in her genetic studies. The safeguards that ancient humans had installed weren't just degrading randomly. Something had been actively sabotaging them for thousands of years. "There's another intelligence at work here," she reported. "Something that's been deliberately increasing aggression and violence across the galaxy. And according to these genetic markers, it's not from this galaxy at all." The revelation that an outside force had been manipulating the galaxy for millennia gave humanity's awakening a new purpose. 8 months after the destruction of the human colonies, the war was over. But calling it a war seemed wrong to most people in the galaxy. Wars had casualties on both sides, destruction, suffering. This had been something else entirely. Jae-hyun Moon stood in the rebuilt city of New Seoul on Kepler 442b, watching children play in parks that had been nuclear craters just months before. The terraforming technology that humanity had awakened could reshape entire worlds in weeks, turning devastated planets into gardens more beautiful than they had ever been. The title of Galactic Coordinator had been offered to him by the reformed Galactic Assembly, and despite his reluctance, he had accepted. Someone needed to guide the galaxy through its transition, and the awakened humans were the only ones with the knowledge and power to do it properly. "Sir," his aide Naribak reported, "the reconstruction of New Tokyo is complete. The survivors are returning to their homes today." Jaehyun nodded, watching the news feeds from across human space. Every destroyed colony had been rebuilt, but not just restored. They had been improved using 50,000 years of advanced knowledge. Cities that floated above the clouds, farms that could feed millions while using only a fraction of the land, transportation systems that moved people and goods at nearly the speed of light. The human colonies had become showcases of what was possible when unlimited technology was guided by wisdom and restraint, but the bigger changes were happening across the rest of the galaxy. Cultural Preservation Minister Chang Min-woo had been working with species across the galaxy to ensure that the lessons of the recent conflict were never forgotten. Memorial sites were being built on every world, not to celebrate human victory, but to remember the cost of hatred and the value of cooperation. "Minister," his assistant reported, "we have confirmation that the last of the genetic modifications have been completed. Every species that requested the aggression safeguards has received them. The transformation had been remarkable. Species that had been at war for centuries were suddenly finding peaceful solutions to their conflicts. Trade was replacing warfare. Cooperation was becoming more common than competition. But not every species had chosen the modifications. About 30% had decided to remain unchanged, preferring to keep their natural aggression and independence. Humanity respected that choice, asking only that they agree to certain basic rules about treatment of civilians and prevention of genocide." Dr. John continued, her research into the mysterious outside influence that had been sabotaging the galaxy's peace for millennia. What she found was disturbing. "Coordinator Moon," she reported via secure transmission, "I've traced the source of the genetic tampering. It's coming from another galaxy entirely. Something has been sending agents here for thousands of years, deliberately increasing violence and chaos." "Why?" Jaehyun asked. "The pattern suggests they're preparing for invasion. A chaotic, divided galaxy would be much easier to conquer than a united one." This revelation led to humanity's next major decision: The galaxy needed protection not just from internal conflicts but from external threats. And according to the ancient archives, this wasn't the first time such threats had appeared. Admiral Nam's ancient fleet began expanding beyond the galaxy's borders, establishing monitoring stations in the void between galaxies. What they found confirmed Dr. John's fears. "Coordinator, we've detected massive fleet movements in the Andromeda Galaxy," Admiral Nam reported. "Ships numbering in the millions, all heading in our direction. Estimated arrival time, 200 years. The discovery of an incoming invasion fleet that dwarfed anything the galaxy had ever seen led to another historical moment. For the first time in galactic history, every intelligent species came together in a single assembly to decide their collective future. The debate lasted for weeks. Some species wanted to flee to other galaxies. Others wanted to build massive defensive fortifications. A few suggested trying to negotiate with the invaders, but it was a young Velkari philosopher named Thesivel who provided the answer that changed everything. "Honored delegates," she said, addressing the assembly, "we are debating how to protect ourselves from these invaders, but we are missing the obvious solution. We don't need to protect ourselves from them. We need to protect them from themselves." "What do you mean?" asked a representative from the Nexus. "The same force that corrupted our galaxy has clearly done the same to theirs. They're not coming to conquer us because they're evil. They're coming because they've been manipulated into aggression just as we were. The solution isn't to fight them, it's to heal them." The assembled species considered this proposal. It was audacious beyond anything ever attempted. Instead of preparing for war against an invading force of millions of ships, they would prepare to cure an entire galaxy of artificially induced aggression. But they had the technology to do it, thanks to humanity's awakened knowledge, and they had 200 years to prepare. Jae-hyun stood before the assembly to announce humanity's commitment to this unprecedented project. "The Star Shepherds once protected this galaxy by going to sleep," he said. "This time we will protect both galaxies by staying awake. We will heal Andromeda just as we have healed the Milky Way." The project that followed became known as the Great Healing. Every species in the galaxy contributed according to their abilities. The humans provided the technology and overall coordination. The Velkari contributed their administrative skills. The Nexith offered their manufacturing capabilities. Even the smallest species found ways to help. Massive ships were built, not warships, but hospital ships on an interstellar scale. Each one was equipped with the genetic modification technology that could restore the aggression safeguards to entire populations. They were also equipped with terraforming equipment, educational systems, and cultural preservation tools. The goal wasn't just to stop the invasion, it was to transform the invaders into neighbors. But the humans also made another decision that surprised many species. After 200 years of active guardianship, they would return to the long sleep, but with a difference this time. "We won't forget who we are again," Jae-hyun announced. "The genetic locks will remain open, but we will sleep until the galaxy truly needs us. We will trust other species to maintain the peace we've helped create." Dr. Lim's research had revealed the true purpose of the long sleep cycles. Humanity's power was too great for them to remain active all the time. Their presence, no matter how benevolent, prevented other species from reaching their full potential, but they would remain ready. Hidden facilities throughout both galaxies would monitor for signs of major threats. If genocide returned, if external forces tried to corrupt the peace, if any crisis arose that required their intervention, the Star Shepherds would awaken again. 100 years after the war's end, the first Andromedan ships reached the edge of the Milky Way. They came in massive fleets, weapons charged, ready for conquest. Instead, they found healing ships waiting for them. The transformation of the Andromedan species took 50 years. Ship by ship, world by world, the genetic modifications were applied to those who chose them. The artificial aggression that had driven them to conquest was gradually replaced by the natural cooperation that most species possessed. Not every Andromedan ship chose to be healed. Some retreated to distant corners of their galaxy, preferring to remain as they were. Others tried to continue their invasion plans despite being vastly outnumbered by the combined forces of two galaxies. But the majority chose peace. They chose to join the galactic community rather than conquer it. As the last of the Andromedan fleets was integrated into galactic society, Humanity began preparing for their return to the long sleep. The galaxy was finally at peace. The external threat had been neutralized through healing rather than warfare. The systems were in place to maintain that peace for millennia to come. Jaehyun stood in the memorial garden on New Busan, where Dr. Lee's final message was preserved in a monument of living crystal. Her words had become the founding principle of the new galactic order. Never again will the strong prey upon the weak without consequence. Never again will mercy be mistaken for weakness, and never again will anyone break the oldest rule in the galaxy, never enrage the humans. But the memorial also contained a new message, added by the current generation. The Star Shepherds watch over all who choose peace. They sleep among the stars, but they are never truly gone. They are in every act of kindness, every choice for cooperation over conflict, every moment when the strong protect the weak. The galaxy is their garden, and love is their law. As humanity prepared to return to the long sleep, they left behind a galaxy transformed, thousands of species living in harmony, protected by systems that would endure for millennia. The aggression safeguards would prevent major wars. The monitoring systems would detect external threats. The healing ships would be ready to cure any corruption that arose. The children had grown up. The garden would tend itself. The Star Shepherds could rest, knowing that they had fulfilled their greatest purpose, creating a galaxy where they were no longer needed. But in hidden facilities on countless worlds, the sleeping humans dreamed of the stars, and their dreams were filled with hope, ready to awaken again if the galaxy ever called for its guardians. The oldest rule in the galaxy had been tested,